Right. How we doing, folks? How's everyone doing? Been a while, hasn't it? Been a little while, nearly a month since I last streamed. Nearly a month, and Milo hasn't done very much since then. Not gonna lie to you. Not gonna lie to you. Just gonna give everyone a second to finish what they were doing. Hey Phil, how you doing, bud? Can have a seat. Hey David, how you doing, bud? Hey Tin. Oh God, no one heard that. How's everyone doing tonight? Anyone been up to anything fun? And by fun, I mean drugs. I mean, what? Right. Let's give Tom a chance to finish his song. Finishing off the trident. Is the trident the one that you're building for your son? Or am I getting that completely wrong? My son started it. He started it and I'm finishing it. Sorry. Why did I have that again? I have too many projects that I've got at the moment. So my project box is full. They're all mixed in with each other. So I've got Voron Tap parts printed in here. I've got Casa parts printed in here. I've still got all the parts from Milo printed in here. I've got some duplicates of some of them because I reprinted a bunch of them. I filmed and did the rough cut for the next video. Won't be out this week though. That's all good. That's all good. I think once that goes out, I'm happy to release the video. Sorry, not the video. The last of the firmware manual. And that way, people can actually have a set firmware to use. And then you can go on to writing yet another manual for what's it called? For Long John Tool Setter. I think those are all the bits I need for today. Perfect. Hey Nimo, how you doing, bud? It has definitely been a while. So long I grew a beard. Hopefully this is going to be like Star Trek, where the moment the main character grows a beard, everything just gets a whole lot better. Right. If I'm using heat inserts, I'll need a soldering iron. I'm touching on the LJT and touch probe usage in the video as well. Oh, awesome. Awesome. We need to get that final post processor and things all sorted and the actual firmware for it. Right. You notice the drill press is gone, so I actually have space. It's just on the floor back there now. Congrats on the beard. Going well, yeah. My Milo is essentially done, but I have nothing to cut. Just don't cut yourself. That's all I'm going to say. Just because you're missing material doesn't mean you can put your hand in it and give yourself a nice flesh tattoo. Right. It's not bad. At least it's not patchy like everyone else's beard. It's only 2 weeks of growth, so not bad at all. Right. I think... Oh, it's been so long. I'm about 80% done on my mechanical build. Post is finished from my side, to be honest. I noticed that the beta post default to G56 for some reason. Fair enough, fair enough. Is that your beta post, or is that the post posters that we have on our side? It has been a very long time, Tom. Has been a very long time. I hope your Milo build is going well. I saw you had a little bit of an issue with lining up your was it your X rails? My suggestion is you should be able to get at the 4 screws for each one of the X rails underneath the XY plate. Loosen those off so that they're kind of free floating, and then you can always tighten them up later. Don't worry about that. I'm probably terrified of the thing. The one that is public currently. Okay, we need to fix that then before we do the main launch. Or at the very least, tell people about it. What are you even planning to use yours for, 9 Mile? I know you've got the motorbike up and running now, so I can't really see what you'd be using it for. No problem, changing that is simple enough. Awesome. Right, some updates on Fixated. So, we had a few issues come through with, from, what's his name? DFH. So this is the one that he sent. This is the Fixated fixture plate that he sent me. And this has both the M5 threadable holes and the M6 dowel pin holes, right? The issue is the moment you start removing this much material from the center of parts, you start to not annoy, why am I saying annoy? You start to show the internal stresses of the material, so it tends to bend a little bit and become a bit warpy. So the machining time to prevent that goes up, because you have to make sure that the setups are all good. So what we have done as a design team is we've split Fixated up into now 4 plates, right? 4 plates. We have what we're calling the Full Monty, which is this version, which is going to be the more expensive version, just because it requires a lot more machining. We also have Full Monty Slim, which only covers the work area, right? And that's just to minimize the amount of material that we're removing. That's going to be cheaper, but still not the cheapest. And then we have this bad boy, which DFH sent me over a few days ago, right? This is what we're calling the Continental Breakfast, right? So Full Monty, Continental Breakfast. This only has the M5 holes in it, right? The reason we can't reduce the amount of M5 holes is because we want a 20 mil separation for each one of the threaded holes. So from the center of one hole to another is 20 mils, right? We need to keep that so it's compatible with things like Long John tool setter and all that lovely stuff, right? This one here, DFH sent me again. He is going to be finalizing this and putting it into production, because we did have some issues with the producer of this plate as well. This one is excellent, right? It does have a hard anodized coat on it, which will make the surface finish a bit rougher, but on a DIY machine like this, it should be absolutely fine. This will last a lot longer. It's also going to be easier because you don't have to ream all the M6 holes. You just have to go straight for the M5 taps. Right? Right. No problem. I'm only poking fun. It's been hard to stop building and do anything else, hence the quick progress. Honestly, no idea. Same as my 3D printer. Build the tool, and the reasons for its existence will come. Fair enough. Fair enough. Right. So that's the updated FMJs for you. We will be posting a GitHub repository with the DXF file. So if you wanted to get this laser cut from a supplier at home, you can do that. But for now, I've got to concentrate on other things. So Full Monty, Continental Breakfast, DFH will be selling some very soon. Ugh. I think he's ordered like 50 of them. If you want to know more, go bug DFH. Is there a Kellogg's multi-pack with just the dowel holes? Yes, but they're crunchier than usual. Plan for tonight. Lots of soldering, lots of finishing off bits that I should have done originally, so I've still got small parts to attach. And I also got, what's it called? Cable chains to attach, and I've got to run a bit of wiring as well. Other than that, it is just a fairly chilled out stream. I've got no big plans to do. I have been super busy with stuff external to Milo, so hence why I haven't streamed in a while. By the way, if you get them water cut, that decreases the heat warping by a lot, Kappa. It's not heat warping that's the issue. The issue is you're relieving the internal stress of the material itself when you're removing some of the material. It's the same when you have big kind of Doosan machines. They take out all the material from. I'm gonna put some music on. They remove all the material from a big block of steel or aluminium. Because you're relieving that stress, you get some bow in the material. So the less material we can take out, the less we have to worry about setup. Music is a bit loud. Better? I have a friend who runs a water jet, actually, so this will be cheap for you if you can get that done. The issue with it is you kind of want them to be flat as well. You can't just get what you would normally water cut. You'd normally water cut kind of a rough, flat piece of steel. So you'll have to get it water cut and then maybe not angle grounded, surface ground afterwards for it to actually work well. Just imagine what the stress warping would be with an extruded piece instead of cast. Well, that's the thing. We've recommended Mike 6 plate, which is a cast tooling plate. Doesn't actually mean that manufacturers will use it. Right? We can recommend as much as possible, but doesn't mean they'll actually end up using it. Let's get a manual, shall we? Right. Let's get them going, shall we? All I need is the screw sizes. Believe it or not, even though I designed the machine, I don't remember the screw sizes off the top of my head. Do-do. That's kind of odd. Is that because you're only recommending, not specifying? At the end of the day, we might work with companies, but we're in no way associated with the companies. With exception to LDO, who are planning to, they haven't done it yet, give us a small donation on it off of every single sale, which I think is like 5%. Which spread amongst the team is like $2, something like that. It's not very much. Other than that, we can't tell a company what to do, right? Same with, so if you look at LDO's kit at the moment, they might be using the majority of the work that we've done on Milo, but they're also doing things like FMJs. Now, remember, FMJs are still technically a mod. Even though they're really popular and pretty much every Milo uses them, they're still a mod at the moment. We will be officializing them into V2. Is the music better? Yeah. We will be officializing them into V2, which we've semi-started work on. But that's a whole nother story for another day. So we can only recommend that they use something. Even if we specify that they should use it, they still have the power. They're their own company. They can do what they want. They can do whatever. If we tell them they need a 6mm plate, they'll go out and make a 10mm plate. I'm still trying to find a supplier that does water cutting and then surfacing for an acceptable price. Yeah, you're not going to find one. So for something like this, something like Milo, I think your cheapest way is going to be, unless you know a guy, your cheapest way is going to be getting them CNC cut, which also isn't too bad of a price. If you go on Xometry, ignore the auto quote that they give you, and actually specify exactly what you need it for, and tell them the holes don't need to be very good tolerances, because you're going to tap them anyway. Give them a rough tolerance to hit, and they'll be able to reduce that price down by so much, right? And if you tell them that you only need one side to be faced, which you generally only do with this kind of thing, that's fine, and that'll be even cheaper. Any of these auto quote services aren't great when you're trying to bring the price down as much as possible. Oh. I need a bigger desk space, but I can't fit a bigger desk in this tiny room. Let's not get distracted anymore, shall we? Oh, I forget to put these in the manual. For those of the guys who are on the team, so Phil and Tin, I've started a bit of work on V2. Don't expect it to be out within the next year, maybe year and a half. But I've started spitballing some ideas up in Fusion. Have a look at them. One of the big things I'm trying to aim for is pull through inserts on all parts that see any force at all, because I've been having a bit of issue with the kind of pull out parts that I've made in the past, which is fine. They do the job, but we can always make it better. I'm also doing a hell of a lot more of a better job than I did with V1.5 with actually sectioning my different assemblies into different workspaces. Hopefully it will make a big difference. And things like only using one size of insert as well. Going forward, I'm going to be using CNC Kitchen inserts only for the designs, because they seem to be getting more and more popular every day. And there are too many different size inserts. I'm also going to be using the smallest size because if you're doing pull-through inserts anyway, you don't need that much thread. The reason you'd use the bigger ones is so that you have more surface area to grab onto, so that the insert itself can grab onto the part more. But if you're doing pull-through versions of the inserts, you don't need all that surface area. I also gotta get Milo finished in time for what are we calling it? S-Murph? London Mortimer Rap Festival? S-Murph. Smurf, that's the one. Phil, are you gonna be joining us for that, do you think? Downside to CNC Kitchen inserts, they are non-standard size and expensive. I have multiple different inserts from multiple different vendors. I can tell you, and they're all Chinese vendors, so they're not really established ones. And I can tell you that they don't make it a standard size. So, in an attempt to support a good creator, and more importantly, in an attempt to start a standard, I'm still going to be using the CNC Kitchen ones. Oh, a Voron, like mine! Yes, I am part of the Voron crew. Not the design crew, but I own my own Voron. This one was graciously given to me by Jason over at LDO. It was a small investment to the team and myself, mostly myself, because I needed to print ABS parts and I didn't have an enclosed printer other than my Voron V0, which is still in a Frankenstein state. I'll leave that one for now. Also, welcome Mr. Kloshak. I haven't seen you around here before. Hope you're having a great day. Fair enough, though I would caveat that standards tend to end up being set by what's readily available for a reasonable price. I agree. And the moment I see a CNC kitchen clone, Chinese clone, with the same standard sizes, I will be buying those outright. But for now, we can't get that standard until, well, it becomes standard. M5 by 12. Whilst it's on the subject, does anyone have any questions about what V1.2 will be? Because I have a fairly structured idea in my mind what I want V.2 to be now. It's nearly been a year since V1.5 came out, surely, I think, maybe. I think I should be able to attend Smurf. Yay! That sounds awesome, dude. I'd love to have you here. Lead screw plans. Okay, so going off of something that Ed put into the design team chat a while ago, which is a really good idea. Instead of having to set the preload manually on... we'll go back, I'll take it back a little bit. The reason we don't use the same type of anti-backlash nuts that you might see in a Voron V0 or any other 3D printer is because they don't actually attain high enough pushing force on the threads to do anything in load cases like this, right? Where you've got very heavy, very strong loads pushing against the anti-backlash nut, right? They don't work very well. So, Ed posited to me a way of getting around that, where we use basically a compression scenario with a Belleville washer. If you don't know what a Belleville washer is, it's a type of spring washer that you get, and they impart a lot of force under small amounts of compression. So we're only talking a millimeter of space will get you several 100 pounds of pressure, right? So we'll still have the same thing where there's two nuts interacting on either side of the thread, but we'll be able to do it in a much more controlled way without having to set the preload itself, right? It also means that we can add in some maintenance features. What I mean by maintenance features is right now, because I know this because I had to do it the other day. If you want to take the y-axis nut block off, you have to disassemble the entire x-axis and take the XY plate off, right? Now, with the Belleville style one that Ed is cooked up, we should be able to give you enough space that you can access everything. So I'm talking you can access the XY carriages, rail carriages, you can access the nut blocks themselves. It should be much, much easier to service with these new style ones, right? They also take the guesswork out of preload, like I said. I think my biggest interest in the V2 is software electronics side. Yeah, so I've got my eyes on some people in the community who have been doing some really good stuff with their the electronic side of things, and I would like to get their opinions on some stuff. All right, we also have the Team Gloomy guys. A couple of them are fairly interested in the project. If you don't know who the Team Gloomy guys are, they're the guys who run the port for RepRap firmware on LPC devices, and they're basically the ones who made RepRap firmware available on cheaper devices, right? And a couple of them have reached out to me and been like, oh, we're interested in the project, how can we help? So I'd like to get one of them on board. And the guy we're talking about is is also in the UK, so that should make it a lot easier for me. Unfortunately, we're kind of limited to what RepRap firmware can do. But the thing is, RepRap firmware is getting so much more interested in the CNC side of things. I need to actually have a chat with one of the guys from Duet, because he's been really good at adding new features. I don't think we're going to get to the Masso level of control, but what I would like to do is talk to one of the Duet guys and get our own custom version of DWC, right? Or a CNC custom version of it, because I don't like the way that Duet web control is set up at the moment, how it's laid out. It's too 3D printer-ish for this kind of work. But again, we'll need to actually contact someone who knows what they're doing with that in that kind of regard. But other than that, what would you like to see on the software side? Obviously, we're getting the config out soon, so that shouldn't be an issue for much longer. Oh, that's the thing that Jason brought up in one of his videos. It was in a Nero video, and they talked briefly about Milo. We need to start working on a post-processor for FreeCAD. Right, have a true open source system. I know Xscale is going to love hearing this. But yeah, FreeCAD would be great. Might help if I actually, turn my soldering iron on. Better support for free configurable probing routines. Yeah. Oh. That's what we have tin for. You and tin for. Or do you mean something else that I'm just not getting? actually feel that's a good point. There's a built-in routine for finding center of hole. They should have similar for centering a workpiece. Alright, fair enough. All sounds really promising. Software is really important though. I notice more people with Vorons, for example, checking out RatOS because it adds quality of life upgrades. I agree with you. I agree with you. So Voron is what I would call, for what they have currently, I'm not talking about like the V24, which they're pushing out in whenever they're going to do that, or whatever variant of it they're going to push out. I'm not talking about that. For the stuff that they currently have, they're what I call end of mechanical life designs, what I would describe as end of mechanical life. There's not much more they can do on the mechanical side of the design to make a big difference. Whereas Milo is still very much at the beginning of its mechanical design. Right, there's still a lot of stuff we can improve here before we approve it software side. And you're only gonna see the really quality of life improvements, I think, when Milo becomes something that has been around for a while, an established property for a while. So whilst it would be nice, a lot of stuff might change. Just more routines and UI around WCS and probably, yeah, that would be really good to use. What I really want is just custom macro buttons. I know there is a way of doing it, but the add-on for it isn't great in DWC. I'd like to be able to have fixed buttons, or if you've ever used Universal G-Code Sender. Universal G-Code Sender, the modules you can get for Universal G-Code Sender would be awesome to have on a CNC machine, on Milo or DWC, DWS, whatever it's called. And that's where we need someone who can actually modify that side of Duet Web Control. We just don't have that person on the team just yet. There used to be a probing plugin for DWC, but I can't for the life of me get it to work. Would have liked to check that out. Yeah, I agree. I still want to see what input shaping will do on Milo. I know it won't work the way I'm thinking it might work. It won't, because you're going to have different kinds of vibrations, but I really want to see what happens if you put if you input shape on a CNC machine. I'm just curious about it. I know we've talked about this before, but still. I see RepRap firmware, this is my own take on it, as being the universal firmware, right? So Clipper Will is pretty much the way that people are going for 3D printers. Gerbil and all its offshoots are pretty much the way people have been going for a while with CNC machines. see RepRap firmware as getting the most benefit from itself as a firmware that does both well. I think they do this 3D printing side well enough, and they are massively pushing more. Even if you talk to the Duet guys, they are massively pushing more and more for the CNC side of things. I know it seems like small updates, but remember, it was never originally meant to be for CNC stuff. They added those features over time, so they've got to work around some of the old software that they implemented. I know Marlin fucked up a lot for them, where Marlin introduced a whole load of G-code commands that are standard G-code commands on a CNC level, but means something completely different in Marlin, so people expect it in the 3D printing world. So they have to go back and they have to take all those commands out, figure out a way to implement it again somewhere else, and then work backwards from there. It's not as simple as people think. They're basically fixing the mistakes of other people. Yeah, well, I remember a few years ago Marlin was loved by the community because it was completely open source and it was everything. And then all of a sudden people realized that we could do better than Marlin, and now everyone hates them. It's the same thing that's happened with Prusa, and I don't personally know how to feel about it. You know, on one hand, we wouldn't be where we are without people like Prusa, without companies like Prusa and projects like Marlin. We just wouldn't. But on another hand, if we don't abandon them, or move away from them, or force them to be better, we're not going to go anywhere. And that's just the truth of the matter. See, I remember watching a teaching tech video about Clipper, and it was how Clipper makes an 8-bit board run faster, or something like that, using Raspberry Pi, because all the calculations are on the Raspberry Pi side. And I remember seeing that and going, why the hell would you need that? Just get a 32-bit board, because it'll be cheaper than a Raspberry Pi. And then turns out Clipper is now the firmware of choice for DIY 3D printing. Strange how stuff like that works out sometimes. What's happening to me? I got this the wrong way around. Probably do. Now, I might sound like an absolute idiot here because I don't do... I'm not a software developer. But I believe that Clipper uses a lot of stuff that isn't G-code. a lot of it is, I think, Python script. So that's why they can get away with things like when you query an end stop or something like that, instead of putting in some kind of G code, you would literally write out query end stop. Now, if we were to go and make Clipper a CNC firmware, you would also have to do a lot of that. You'd be taking the ability to put stuff in G code away to make it easier. And when you're talking about CNC as a very standardized system, when you're talking about doing that in CNC, it doesn't normally work out too well. Would Clipper be where it is without mainsail or fluid, or the other web UAs that make the experience thick? No, it wouldn't. Agreed with that. Oh, Phil, have you got your results back yet, by the way? Yeah, when are you expecting them? End of the week is their deadline. Fair enough. I won't make you any more nervous about it. So it's a big thing, I get it. Right. Next part means I'm gonna have to remove the table. Oh, something that I did off camera, because I didn't, for some reason my Voron never used to print TPU, and the other day I decided to give it another chance, and all of a sudden it worked. So I managed to actually print the feet for once. I've never actually printed the feet before myself. I had them printed for testing from a mate of mine's printer, from a mate of mine's printer, and they work fine. But I've never actually printed them myself, so I added those off camera. You need to do a presentation. Why? Also, if Tin's still there, how's your bike project going? Your off-road vehicle thing? Quite common in the UK quite common in the UK to as part of endpoint assessment. Oh, fair enough. I mean, when I did my what's it called? Not thesis, dissertation. I never had a presentation at the end of mine. But that might just be because mine was bachelor's and yours isn't. I think you're doing a higher level degree than I did. And also, let's face it, I don't have a real degree. I think I'm the only person who can say has a degree that's worse off than an English degree. That is more useless than an English degree. Right, I require some wire. Have an HND in jog. What's an HND? Right. So, end stop wiring. I have grey and black PTFE wires. Or I have black and red silicone wires. Both the same gauge. I'm going to let you guys decide on which ones I should use for this build. I know the PTFE will last longer, but it looks ugly. First two years of UK bachelor's. Where did you go to uni? Obviously, I shouldn't ask that. Maybe, you don't have to answer that one. I just realised that's probably not the best thing to ask. Don't worry, I don't leave it anywhere near. Fair enough. Hey man, at this point, I think the whole population of the UK needs to move somewhere far, far away from the UK. I've been looking at moving back to Africa, selling my place here and just getting out. been to Canada before. I spent 6 months basically living in Canada. I was doing a mountaineering course. Spent a good few months in Canmore and Banff. But most of the time we're actually out in the mountains themselves. The Great White North, baby. Biggest thing I don't like about the UK is the complacency of everything. If you live in the UK, you become complacent and overly wary of everything. There are no risks here. Everything needs to be done by the book or not at all. Which is nice, but at the same time, as a dude who grew up in Africa, where you can basically do what the hell you want so long as you're not hurting people, it's a real hard thing to get used to. Don't even ask me about Germany. Why not? Tell me. I want to know. I think the UK has the most expensive housing market out of pretty much every country, and one of the most expensive housing markets. Because look at it like this, my 1-bedroom flat was 80 grand after what's it called? After the fact that 25 gets taken off because I don't own that 25%. I own 75% of the property. And then the estate agents own the last 25%. So that's 80 grand for a 1-bedroom apartment. And I live in a tiny town as well. Like, I don't live in a big city where the prices will go even higher than that. You'll need at least 5 stamps from 4 different offices, question your neighbours and get them to sign a waiver, and then maybe still have a city hall discussion to build a garden shed. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And it's frustrating, man. It's just so frustrating. I need to get some smaller spade terminals for the end stops. You know what? I'm not going to do end stops today. I'll do those off. I won't wire the end stops today. I'll wire them another time. I was going to solder them, but I'd rather be able to disconnect them if I need to. So what I'm going to do is just install the physical end stop itself, but not wire them. Oh, an hour. That's not bad. Right, where did I leave all my end stops now? Question. Yeah. See, I always get told different things about Canada, depending on which Canadians I speak to. Like a mate of mine from school who lives in Canada now, he says that he's got his own place, which is like a house, and he lives up near Kelowna. He's got a house for himself, and that's, I think he said it was 150 US, sorry, not US, Canadian dollars. Hey, Coyle. Was using my Milo yesterday. Oh! And how did it go? Going back to talk about V2 from earlier, there's discussion about the end stops that we're using, because obviously mechanical end stops, you use them to a certain amount for a certain amount of time, they will fail after a certain amount of time. And we've just been debating in the team about other solutions. I'm thinking optical end stops. We were also thinking about inductive sensors, but the thing is, they all have their upsides and downsides. I don't think an inductive sensor would be great, because the moment a chip flies past it, it's going to set it off. Optical sensors, you need to make sure that wherever the bed is going to be sensed, wherever it's going to be triggered, is free of chips, because you don't want it to trigger too early or too late. Most likely too early, because it would be actually hitting something. The end stop problem I've seen is the chips everywhere. Yeah. This is why we need to figure out a way of doing homing better. Oh no, did I Ah, I made the classic mistake, haven't I? Ah, I put M3s in instead of M2.5s. Oh, that's a shame. I have to reprint that. It's all another time. I was doing a bit of work on just getting like standard parts in place, like having a separate workspace for every single standard part in Fusion, so that you can then bring it all into an assembly and it's easier to modify everything at the end of the day. Right? And I was thinking about you, Tin, because it's not a bad thing at all. I just find it funny because I'm really hating having not being able to work entirely within the same assembly like I normally do. It's something I have to get used to. Is working with different assemblies in different project files. But I just thought, you know what? If Tin was here, he would hate this 10 times worse than I would. I suppose what I could do is just drill the holes out to M3. Yeah, let's do that instead. Saves printing another part. This might be an issue. I don't have any M3 drill bits. It's fine. I have drill taps for this kind of thing. Oh, don't I know it, Tin? Don't I know it? How is everything going on the CASA files, by the way? Nice. Nice, man. Well, I hope we can get that done soon. People really want to see that design out in the public. I think it's the most requested thing that we have at the moment is CASA. Also, just a big apologies to everyone who's in stream today. Sorry I've not been around too much. I've had a lot of other stuff I've been needing to get done. I really need to... Most of my time has been spent up getting my RCI out of the way. Lost my money as well, Jesus Christ. Just to get the gear I need to be able to do the things I want to do in the outdoors, I need to spend so much bloody money, which I don't have. I need to make time for an FMJ. I was doing some small spot drilling and could watch the entire Z assembly flexing. Yeah. I think we're going to officialize, like I said earlier, we're going to officialize FMJ support. Maybe not make it so that you need the FMJs to do everything, but definitely make the support a bigger thing. I also think we can increase the Y build volume to 180 millimeters, which could potentially mean that we can split the FMJs into smaller parts that are machinable on the machine, which would be good, which would be nice. My Alpha Casa build went really well, but my printer is far from standard. Yeah. It is definitely far from standard. I mean, you could print a whole FMJ, a single piece FMJ, on your printer, which is madness. Absolute madness. Oh, I've been printing out a bunch of the STLs. I bought a bunch of the extrusions, but again, all my money has been going into my RCI at the moment. Because, fucking hell. Oh, so much money of mine has gone into the RCI that I calculated, like, my daily allowance for spending this month. Because I do that every month just to make sure I'm not overspending on things. But so much money has gone into my RCI that I can spend, I think, £6 a day to be able to make it till next payday. That is what I am facing at the moment. Oh. It's so expensive to get certified for anything here. So yeah, for the next 4 weeks, I can spend £6 a day, and that's it. I'm glad I get free buses, even though I have a motorcycle. I'm glad I get free buses. I'm also glad for people like Tom, because Tom, for God knows how many months now, has been contributing a tenner to me for so long, and I really do appreciate stuff like that. And I appreciate all of you who have used the AliExpress links as well, because if it wasn't for you guys, and the little kickback I get from that, it would have actually been £3 a day. More Y would be great. I actually printed 2 FMJs at once. Yeah, because it's ridiculous, man. Hate to sound stupid, but what's an RCI? RCI is a Rock Climbing Instructors Award here in the UK. So, basically, it's what we call an NGB, a National Governing Body Award. So, there's going to be a lot of acronyms here. BMC, British Mountaineering Council, right? runs a training program called Mountain Training, a training association, I guess. Now, Mountain Training offers a bunch of other what's it called? NGBs. One of those is your RCI, right? You can also get something called an ML, which is a mountain leader, which allows you to take people out on walks and things like that. Now, in order to work for pretty much any company that works in the outdoors in the UK, or even overseas, you need to have an NGB. Now, the Rock Climbing Instructors Award allows me to set up and take people out to crags and things without supervision, basically making me the instructor for that day, making me the leader for that day. Now, whilst you don't need them, a lot of companies will ask for them. So like, I want to really get out of the job I have at the moment, not because I think it's a bad job. It's one of those things where I'm happy to be there, but I'm not fulfilled being there, if that makes any sense. I feel like I could be doing better. So I need to get all these NGBs that I should have done when I was at uni and could have actually got them for cheaper, but I didn't. And those are currently taking up the majority of my life. Oh, hope that kind of made some sense. It's a certification. I need the certification to be able to work in places that I want to work in. And they're expensive. Drop the screw. Also, whilst I'm at it, big thanks to you as well, Tin, because I'm never going to forget the time you sent me 100 quid. Because that was just, yeah, you're a madman, and I love you for it. You're a madman in so many ways. That really helped out a lot, dude. It really did. So, thank you for that. I appreciate you. Perfect. Right. So those are the odds and sods done. Cable chains have been put back on. Bits, plus all the printed parts are finally on the machine. I've still got to reattach it to the electronics table. But this is probably going to be, it's probably going to be a while till the next stream because I need to be able to actually buy the rest of the parts for CASA. Once I can do that, the next project will be CASA, yeah? And we can actually get Milo moving, which is going to be fucking great, actually. Coil, you can donate if you want to. Please don't feel like I'm trying to tell a sad story and just to get you guys to donate. I'm not trying to do that. If you feel like donating, though, regardless, on the Discord server, I'll find the channel. I think it's just, the channel is just marked donate to a developer. And you'll find my PayPal details on there. You'll also find Dave's if you want to give him a few bucks as well. But genuinely, please don't feel like you need to donate to me. I will be fine. I just need to be careful, that's all. I appreciate that, Coil. I do appreciate that, but first things first, make sure that you have the money, right? Make sure that you're not going to be adversely affected by the donation, because the last thing I want is to take money from someone who needs it more than me. At the end of the day, I've paid all my bills for the month. I've got gas in my motorcycle. I have enough money for food to get me through each day. And that's all I really care about. So if you're in a position where you can donate, go ahead. Make sure that you're looking after number one first, though. Please do that. You've done so many years of work on Milo and supported us all in building it. That's because I like you guys. All right? I like you guys. I like being able to share the things that I do. And it makes it so much nicer when I've got a nice community behind me. From everyone, from the small people, like you, Coil, like all the people who come and help out or just put their 2 cents in, or all that. That I really appreciate that. I appreciate all the people I work with, everyone on the team, all the Milo guys. I appreciate all the vendors that are helping us get things get things sorted so we can actually share the design to more and more people. I appreciate every single one of you. Right? So think of that as more of my reward than any donations, right? I am more than happy to just be part of the community, like anyone else should be. And wherever I can help, that's what I will do, right? There are going to be points in time where, yeah, I can't help as much because I've got other stuff going on, but that doesn't mean I don't think about Milo constantly, and all of the guys here. Yeah, at the end of the day, I just want us to be a good community. Right, so I'm going to call it there for the day. Thank you folks for coming. I really do appreciate all of you, like I said. It's going to be a while until the next stream because I need to get all the CASA parts in. We'll do all the wiring. I'll do all the first bit of wiring here. I'll probably add them. I'll probably make a bunch of connectors so I can connect the electronics box to Milo separately. I'll probably terminate them some way. I'll do that all off camera. I need to take apart this spindle and replace a bearing that's inside of it, so I might do another short stream on that, because it shouldn't be too expensive to get a new bearing in here. We got the Frankenstein V0.2, which I still need to finish, but again, I just need to buy some fasteners for it, and then I can stream that. Anyway, other than that, hope you guys have a wonderful day, wherever you are in the world, and cheers.